Hello, my name is Dr. Stephen Critchlow. I'm a practicing psychiatrist and also a Christian. And in these short talks I want to give just brief introductions to certain subjects that I think are of great interest and also relevance to our lives today. In the first of these talks I'm going to be doing a short excerpt from my book, Finding the Yes in the Mess, which I wrote a few years ago. The world as we see it today, we would have to say, is a mess. And it's difficult sometimes to understand what that mess is all about. One of the ways of sometimes helping us to understand the world that we have today is to try and shrink it down, as it were, into a kind of global village. So, for example, if the world had just 100 people, of those 100 people, 57 would be Asians, 21 Europeans, 14 from all the Western Hemisphere, and 8 Africans. 48 will be male and 52 female, 70 will be non-white and 30 white, and 70 will be non-Christian and 30 will be Christian, at least in name. 6 people of those 100 would own almost 60% of the world's wealth, and all 6 would be from the United States of America. 80 would have inadequate housing. 70 would not be able to read. 50 would be suffering from some form of malnutrition. 1 would be close to death and another about to be born. 48 would be unable to attend a religious meeting without fear of arrest or harassment or worse. And only 1 would have a college education, and only 1 would own a computer. Simply shrinking the world down to 100 people gives us an idea of what's really going on in the world. The famous author G.K. Chesterton said of the world today, of the world of his day, that not only are we all in the same boat, but we're all seasick. And I think that's a very interesting description of the world of his day. And it's true of our world today. The world is in a mess. And shrinking it down to those 100 people does indicate some of the mess that world is in. Monica Furlong, an English feminist writer, has written, "I feel that the whole human condition is rather like a fly slowly crawling over a huge and complicated pattern on the wallpaper and trying from this point of disadvantage yet also of immediate experience to calculate the appearance of the whole." That again is a very interesting description of the world today. A huge complicated picture, but we are like a little fly in the middle of that great design, somehow trying to understand the whole picture. And from our own perspective, we cannot seem to see the whole. And sometimes the world can seem a very confusing and difficult place. Alexander the Great, when he was leading his soldiers across the world, it's described the consternation of his soldiers when suddenly they realised they had marched off the map and they were no longer on the map that they knew about, and they felt terribly confused because they couldn't understand how the world could be bigger than the map they had. Of course, one of the ways of dealing with the world's problems is to wish that they'd all go away. And one interesting example of this was in 1940, where Captain Louis Conterno, a pilot from Peru, was forced to make an emergency landing in Peru. And instead of meeting hostile tribes as he anticipated, he met friendly people with white skin who greeted him in pure Castilian Spanish. How had they come to be there? Well, in 1904, 2 families became lost crossing the Andes, and they decided to stay in the mountains. And the people whom the pilot met belonged to a group of 450 who had descended from those 2 families. For 36 years they'd had no idea of what was happening in the outside world. They didn't know about the 2 world wars and many other changes that had taken place. Interestingly, they showed no desire to return to civilization. So this world, we have to confess, is in a mess these days. There are great difficulties around us. We must feel sometimes that we cannot possibly understand what is going on around us. And in these series of talks, I want to give us some pointers as to how we can find ways through of understanding this world, how we can manage to find a yes in the mess. And that is the kind of topic I want to address in further of these short talks together. Thank you.